Let me first thank the media for coming out, because today, I don't want to say it's a sad day, but it is an enlightening day. It is so because a Sedition Act has been used to detain the President General of PSA and also the President of NATUC for making statements that the politician deemed to be seditious. But more importantly, the act that I speak of is an act which is a rollover from the colonial past, an act that is dated from 1275, and I want to repeat that, 1275. And that act was used, in NATUC's view, to not only scare the PSA president and the president of NATUC, but to instill fear in all trade unionists, in all freedom lovers, in all political activists. It is a most disgraceful display, in our opinion, and a misuse and abuse of a legislation that has no place in modern time. And I will want our members to understand, and the general public, that NATUC is of the considered view that the Sedition Act, as currently drafted, has no place in the 21st century. The legislation is a holdover from the colonial days and has its genesis in the 13th century England, where criticism of the king and feudal lords were prohibited and offenders could have their heirs removed. In these circumstances, NATUC has consulted with a team of attorneys headed by Ms. Nairi Alfonso with a view of challenging before the courts the constitutionality of the Sedition Act. I remind everyone that this legislation came into force in Trinidad in 1920, and I repeat, 1920, and specifically banned publications from Marxist countries, China, women's organization, and the labor movement and labor unions. And I want to repeat that. This act specifically banned publications from Marxist countries, China, women organizations, and labor unions. And therefore it raises serious questions as to why in the 21st century and in a democratic country like Trinidad and Tobago, that the powers that be will reenact such a draconian, outdated act to stifle the views and the right of expression of our president, Comrade Duke, in making his utterance. And what was the utterance that Comrade Duke is alleged to have made? And let me read it. Comrade Duke was called as the president of NATUC and also the PSA to lend support to a group of workers from TSTT who were threatened or not threatened, or who were to be retrenched. And what Comrade Duke said, we must be prepared to die, folks. You know why? This is your belief. This is your family, and I'm sending the message clear. Let Rowley and them know that the day they come for us in Wassa, we are prepared to die, and the and the morgue will be picking up people. We are prepared to die. We. What is seditious about that? And I'm saying that against the backdrop, comrades. And I want to read our sacred song, our sacred anthem as trade unionists. And let me read it out for each and every one of you all. We meet today in freedom cause and raise our voices high. We join our hands in freedom song to battle or to die. Hold the fort, for we are coming. Unionists be strong. So I'm not wondering when we start to sing that union song, because we are saying, all right, that we will join our hands in freedom song to battle or to die. Does that mean that I can be arrested? Does that mean that workers who are singing this song, which we are prepared to sing today, all right, will be arrested? Because the question of dying for a cause is a fundamental principle, is something that is democratic, and is something that even Nelson Mandela spoke of. It is something that Obama spoke about. It is something that Martin Luther King Jr. spoke about. It is something that George Meek spoke about, and all trade unionists. So the issue of telling workers that you are prepared to die for a cause, how can we say that is seditious? Right? You are now attempting to muzzle the expressions of the labor movement. Are we now going back to the colonial time? Are we now going back to a dictatorial state? Are we now going back to a totalitarian state whereby the expressions and free expressions of workers and trade union leaders will now be determined to be seditious because we speak of our fundamental right to die and hold our hands in unity for what we believe in? I ask the question today, what is seditious about that? Is it that this government is now reaching to a state where we cannot express ourselves in the 21st century? And the media, I want you all to pay particular attention, because you as the media, who's supposed to be the democracy and the voice in a democratic country, can be held for making expressions of freedom and in the context of this modern world that we are living in. It is not only the trade union movement is affected. Today, what the government or what the powers have done is to raise the eyes of the trade union movement. Today, what the government has done by arresting Duke, they have sent a clear message that there is no democracy, there is no fundamental right in Trinidad and Tobago to express yourself. And I want to make the point, Duke was doing his work as a leader of the trade union movement when he made the statement, and he's arrested for expressing a view. Comrades, is this democracy? I ask the question again for emphasis. Is this democracy? Are we going to allow the state apparatus to use a colonial law that was enacted since in 1275 to muzzle the voices of freedom fighters, to muzzle the voices of fearless trade union leaders, to muzzle the voices of the freedom of the press, because this speaks to the freedom of the press. And I want to warn the press, today for the trade union movement, tomorrow for you. And therefore, today, we raise our voice in freedom cause. Today, we sing a battle song to this government. And while we are prepared to use the constitutional measures, and we are speaking to Nairi Alfonso and a team of leaders to challenge the constitutionality of this legislation, we in the National Trade Union Center will be speaking out on this issue. We believe it is a sad day for Trinidad and Tobago. We believe it's a sad day because we attain independence and we attain Republican status. And the powers that be will go back to colonial law, which was enacted from since 1275. And coincidentally, comrades, brothers and sisters, that very law was repealed by England in 2009. Let us understand what we're dealing with. The law came from the colonial past, and England repealed that very law in 2009 because they recognize the freedom of press. They recognize that in a democracy, you must give workers the right to express themselves. And I will want to quote and read into the records, comrades, what was said when the bill was being debated in 2009. And I quote, "The power to express forcefully political discontent is the cornerstone of democracy and lies with the people. Conversely, it is not therefore in the power of government to criminalize this expression, because one has to remember that Duke, if he is charged, and we hope and pray that good sense will prevail, that he can serve 2 years in jail for expressing his views and his rights. The fundamental right of UK individuals would be better protected by removing the offense of seditious libel from the statute book. Baroness de Souza, dated the 9th of July 2009, when they were debating the repeal of the Seditious Act in England. And I want the public to know that that act was repealed in 2009. And we asked the question, if we are about democracy, why it is that the powers that be still has that act on our statute book, and why it is that they have reinvented that act to hold our brother and our comrade and our fearless fighter for justice and freedom, comrade, brother Duke. We in NATUC say enough is enough. We in NATUC say that the powers that be will pay a price, and I have to be very careful of what I say, because I might be next. And the price I'm talking about, and I want to make it publicly clear, this finger is our voting finger. And we will mobilize. And we will mobilize in the east, in the west, in the north, and in the south to ensure that the message from the trade union movement is loud and clear. Rowley, enough is enough, and we're not taking that. We therefore give notice to this power that be. The act of putting Comrade Duke in detention, and I want the public to know that he's now in the General Hospital once more. Okay? The act of going to Duke home and terrorize the children because the children are frightened, and seizing the children tablet and phone. The act of coming at PSC office without a warrant to search. And I want to thank the officers from PSA who stood up and said there's no warrant. And they had to go back and get a warrant and came back the next day. And I raise a fundamental question, brothers and sisters. I'm not a lawyer. As we say, I went to Oxford. Okay? but common sense make before book. If Comrade Duke was alleged to make this statement in November 2008, and we are now, I'm 18, and we are now in August 2019. Isn't it strange that after Comrade Duke made this statement, when the Prime Minister, who said, I never said public servant was lazy, but read what he said, and Duke responded like our trade union is going to respond. Don't you find it strange that he was arrested all in a sudden? Is the police telling us that it took them from November 2019 to not realize? Look, comrades, brothers and sisters, the general public, I want you all to start to think. Let the powers that be knows that we are independent thinkers, and we are no longer, is PNM until we dead. We is Trinidad and Tobago and not PNM. And we will die. And we will die for Trinidad and Tobago. And I will say, just like Nelson Mandela, because he said it too, if it means dying, right, I will die for my country. Right, and then what is wrong with this statement? I ask the question, what is wrong? We must be prepared to die, folks, because people going home, no money to mind your children. That is a fundamental thing on which people, them politicians don't understand, because they don't damn care. They don't understand that, because when you retrench somebody, you destroy a whole social life and mash up a family. And then what is wrong in saying that? You know why? This is your belief. This is your family. What is wrong with that? And I am sending the message clear. Let Rowley and them know that the day they come to us in Wasser, we are prepared to die. And the morgue will be picking up people. We are prepared to die. What is he inciting? What is he inciting? I'm asking the question, brothers and sisters. Trinidad and Tobago. If somebody comes to take away something in your house, don't you have a right to stand up and prepare to die to defend your house? Isn't that a right? And therefore, this detention, as the old people say, there's more in the mortal than in the pestle. Don't be fooled. It has nothing to do with the statement that Comrade Duke make. Because if you look at statement, all of us who are here will be locked up tomorrow. Because the question of telling workers you have to make sacrifice, if it means dying for what you believe in, is a word that the trade union movement uses. And I read the song, and let me repeat it again. We meet today in freedom cause and raise our voices high. We join our hands in freedom song to battle or to die. That is the trade union motto. That is our philosophy. That is our belief. And therefore, brothers and sisters and comrades, are we to be held hostage? Are our homes to be searched, where our children are terrorized and they are still frightened because the police burst down and went in the place? Right? The workers here were terrorized and traumatized. Right? Is this a democracy that we are living in? Is that how we do business in a democratic country? Because regardless of whether or not you like what the guys say, you cannot, as a leader or any leader, be arrogant, vindictive, and petty as a leader. Because our country, and I want to make this final point, our country falls or rise on the basis of leadership. And if we have leaders that are petty, vindictive, and thin-skinned, well then, we're going to be spinning top in mud. And therefore, I am making the call now. We have to look for a leader that is not vindictive, that is not petty, that is not thin-skinned. We have to look for a leader that as much as he gives, he must be able to take. And therefore, I will end by saying the ability of individuals to criticize the state is crucial to maintaining freedom. In this day and age, when we have so many journalists, bloggers, and so forth, who give us their views all the time, we should get rid of anything that may in any way curb their criticism of the state. We need a vigorous culture of free speech in order to keep government up to mark. NATUC rests its case, and we say to this P&M government that you will have your day, and we will have our day, election time, both local and government. Thank you, comrades. Yeah, thank you, comrades. Is there any questions that the media will want to raise, or if there's any clarifications? Today's a sad day. I mean, tears is coming out of my eye to see where sweet Trinidad has reached under this regime. It's a sad, sad day. And I was warning them, they would make joke, not a matter, but they would make joke. You understand? A person that everybody going to respect in this country. Because their intention is to belittle Comrade Duke. Their intention is to make him look like nothing. The intention is to send fear in the minds of the comrades here. But I have my own African tradition. And my grandmother always say, never fear man, fear the Almighty. That is the person who don't fear man and never allow fear to rule you. And we send in a clear message. This has emboldened the National Trade Union Center, Dr. Rowley. This has exposed your government for what this government truly is. Because if you are care about the people, you ought to tell them, forget about that. And don't tell me that it's independent and you know the DPP have its work to do and we can't intervene. We know the culture in Trinidad and Tobago and we not buying that. We calling on you to intervene, the Attorney General. And if you're serious about democracy, if you're serious about freedom, if you're serious about building a culture of the right to criticize, we demand that, just like how you bring certain acts, fast track this act and get it off of the statute of books of Trinidad and Tobago. This act has no place in Trinidad and Tobago or any democratic society. Thank you. Yeah, comrades. Any question?
I wanted to ask you with respect to the consultations you had with the
Yeah.
What is the timeline for filing any action on this particular matter regarding the Sedition Act? Because up to now, the police have not officially said that this is the charge of sedition.
No, but while you are saying up to now, the police hasn't charged him. It's 4 days now, you know, that he's under detention. Yeah, no, 4 is Monday. It's from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday,
So
Thursday.
after they give you 72 hours.
Yeah.
72 hours.
Right, okay. You understand what I'm saying? And you wouldn't like to go through that. You wouldn't like to go through that. So the issue is not being charged. The issue is where the police, if they didn't like your head, and we know this government don't like the trade union movement. You understand? They could go back and look at something that you say 10 months ago, 20 months ago, and say, lock him up. All right, they might let you go, but you would have spent 72 hours in jail, being questioned, knowing that it's vindictiveness and spite. That is what we want in Trinidad and Tobago. And I'm not going to buy into your narrative at all. It's the fundamental issue that we have to deal with in the 21st century, because you are a journalist. We see what happened in England. England repealed this very act. Why it is that the powers that be has now reenacted a law that has its origin in the colonial past that started in 1275 to hold somebody in detention in 2019. That is the question. Right, and I don't want to deviate, and I wouldn't allow nobody to deviate. That is the question that we have to ask ourselves, and that is the question I'm asking the general public. Is since last year the statement was made, how come the police now discover that he made a seditious statement? Ask yourself that question, and that comes quickly on the heels of a statement that was made in defense of the public servants, where it was alleged, or where it was stated, that the public servants are lazy and they only make noise when they get paid. Public servants. And I'm saying to you, public servants present here, we support all you. We know you all are not lazy. And I want the public to know, and print it please, that Dr. Rowley is the chief public servant. The last time I checked, Dr. Rowley was getting paid by taxpayers' money, just like public servants. And then therefore, I am asking the question, the man in the mirror, and who have glass, don't pelt stone, and who is without sin past pelt? I'm talking Trinidad language now. Pelt the first stone. You understand? So then when they talk, that they be careful of what they're saying. And I will ask the question, if we're talking about laziness, can any one of you say that you are satisfied with the government deliveries of goods and services since they're in power? No. I'm not hearing all here. No. Well then, monkey must know what tree to climb on. Thank you, brothers and sisters. No, listen, no. The legal action that we want to take, or the legal action against you. I want to be clear so I could answer you. Yeah, Nairi, Alphonse with a team of lawyers, they will get back to us, and as soon as they direct us, we will make that determination. We have asked them to treat this with the urgency it deserves, because we honestly believe that that kind of legislation is a disgrace and is a slap in our faces in Trinidad and Tobago, when the powers that be can use a legislation that was enacted from since 1275 to use it against a trade union. That is the issue. A colonial law, because the law was first enacted in Trinidad, you know when? 117 years ago. 117 years ago. Yeah. No, well, I am not in a position to say exactly what is his state at this point in time, because you know he's under police guard, and it's almost difficult depending on which police officer is there to go and speak to him. All right, but we will be going to the general Port of Spain hospital to do that assessment, to make a determination what state he is in. because you have to appreciate it is a traumatic experience. All right. My understanding that he has been ordered. That is my understanding. It took a few hours well before he could have gotten a bed, which is natural in Trinidad and Tobago, and then therefore the government not delivering on the service, and they talking about laziness because we can't get bed in the hospital. Yeah, yeah. We are not only going to write to the Attorney General, we are going to write to the ILO. We're going to write to all our international affiliates, right, seeking their support in this matter. I have already penned several letters as the General Secretary of NATUC to send out to several of our international affiliates and several international bodies, the UN and everybody, pointing out to them what is taking place in Trinidad and Tobago, given the fact that we are in the 21st century, given the fact that England repealed the very said act, and given the fact that the powers that be has now decided to reenact an act and use it against a trade unionist in the 21st century. All right, and I want to remind you about WikiLeaks. You understand? And that fight for the freedom and the right for information and for the public to know. Right. As soon as you start to stultify that, we know we're in a place where we have to be afraid. We know we are in a place where it is scary, and we know we're in a place where those who enact those kinds of legislation do not like us as a people. No, well, all that is in the making, and as I speak to you, that will go out on social media in a while. As I speak to you, as I say, there are several letters. We are calling him on the opposition, the independent senators, and all activists, the media association. Let me repeat, the media association, because you too are likely to be under attack given the act and given what the act says. I want you all, because we have a copy here, you know, the list of organizations that cannot publish or we cannot use as a publication. And I will give you a copy. I can't give everybody, but I will give you all a copy for you. Take it. I want to pass it so you all can read to see the in-depthness of this act and how it was enacted against the people of Trinidad and Tobago. I repeat, this act is 117 years old. It was under the colonial time, and therefore we know that at that time they view us as slaves. They view us as less than human beings. They view us as inanimated objects. They view us as a thing to be used. They view us as being foolish and stupid. We have no sense. You understand? And you come in the 21st century and use that act to arrest our comrade and our brother. You're mad, boy. Or you're mad. Yes, as I said, I haven't spoken directly with the opposition leader, but I would have spoken to several members of UNC, activists, advisors, and some members of parliament, and they are on board on this matter. Yes, yeah. Well, I don't like the word should. I want to use the word when. Not should. Because if any government or any opposition or any independent goes against the repeal of this act, well, then we know they need to go up St. Anne's. Well, I asked the question. The statement was made in 2018. And it's after that statement was made that Duke was detained. So, I mean, I don't want to tell people how to think. I am just putting the facts on the table. And it's for you to write and tell me what you think. Right? Because my role is not to force people to think in my way. I'm putting the facts on the table. This statement was made in November 2018. And it's after the statement that was made by Comrade Duke in defense of the public servants who were called lazy and who don't work, who don't do nothing for the day. You understand? Public servants don't do nothing for the day. Understand that? So I want to know how we clear the cargo. I want to know when it have fire. I mean, think about that statement. And he responded. And he responded. And after that, somebody discovered, wait now, boy, hey, look, boy, damn statement there, boy. We could lock him up for that, or we could detain him, you know, right? We could use that against him. I don't know if it's that what went on, but I find it strange from where I sit that after all these months, and after a statement that has been made in response to a statement that has been made by the Prime Minister, that somebody now determined, right, that they're going to detain Duke and carry the matter, because the matter is before the DPP as I speak to you, for him to determine whether to charge Duke or not. But you know what is important to me? And you have to do the critical analysis as I always try to do. If Comrade Duke would have made that statement in 2018 November, it means that you would have had possession of that statement. And if you are charging him, right, for that statement, what is the need, one, to come to his office, to get documents, to seize magazines, to go to his home where his children are? People, I want only to understand that, you know. To go to his home where his children and his wife reside, okay, to seize their phones and things like that. What is the need for that? What is the purpose of that? Right? What is the purpose of that? Ask yourself that question. And then you are still investigating. You still want documents. You went to the office in Wassa to ask whether or not he have any notepad there for when he's doing negotiations and all these kinds of things. And Duke wasn't arrested in his office, you know. Duke was is not arrested before they charged me now. Eh?
He was arrested.
He was arrested. Okay, the comment say he was arrested in Wassa car park. In Wassa car park, after completing the negotiations there. So how the police know he was in Wassa car park to go there and wait for him, so that when he coming out the negotiations, he was taken into police custody. I prefer to say police custody, because they in chargement, right? Ask yourself that fundamental question. And then you fly down here without a warrant and threatening the staff that if they didn't open the door, I want to see the manager, we're going to break it down with a hammer. And the workers and them stand up and say, we want to see the warrant. And better sense prevailed. But that was after a few hours, right, of terrorizing the workers and them. Terrorizing, and I repeat. But I want to say terrorize in the sense then that if you have people under a mental strain, that is terrorism too, you know. Terrorism is not necessarily somebody with a gun, you know.
But they had guns.
No. I'm making the point. I'm making the point.
They didn't come with a hand empty, you know. They come with
You
guns
understand?
too.
You know? And it's all that went on in Trinidad and Tobago in the 21st century. You know? Bring back an act for 117 years ago that was in the colonial past and charge somebody under that. That is disrespectful to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. It is a disrespect. All right, so then I am asking the question, if we are seeing people in black skin but with white minds. Today when we are completed, I am going to meet with the colleagues from PSA2 and we will attempt to go to the hospital, all right, to see if we can see him. No, I cannot. I cannot answer that. I really cannot. What's that? No, well, I didn't get into that. I didn't get into what was his condition, but what I know that there was a level of blood pressure went up, all right, and then I could understand that because I wasn't detained and my blood pressure went up. So I could understand what he was going through, all right? Yeah, he is. Yeah. What I can say, all right, that throughout Trinidad and Tobago, where the government has to allocate funds for like the daily rated workers, and my comrade here represent a lot of those workers are on them, funds have not been allocated, and therefore there, yeah, right, and then what he is pointing out, some has been allocated but not released, and therefore several workers, hundreds of workers are being affected by that. So the ability to pay is one of the major issues. And if we listen to the narrative of the government, the question of the ability to pay, right, becomes a major issue. Okay, because there are several things that are being done. You're not rehiring anybody, and there are several things. But we in NATUC will want to express a view on that. What do you put first? Employment of workers or building an overpass in Curel? What do you put first? Employment of single women or building a road in Manzalina where a certain minister owned one set of land there? What do you put first? Hospital goods for the hospital so patients can get their medication. I had to buy medication for somebody. Luckily, I extended my goodwill because that person didn't have the money to buy it because the hospital did not have the particular prescription was prescribed. What comes first, building a road or ensuring that the health of the nation, children and old people and women, right? Or going back to Whitehall or building Whitehall is important. Where do we put the emphasis as a people, as a government, and as a society? Is it that our citizens are second-class citizens and roads, all right, and big buildings, and walk over from the AG office to the Red House is more important than people working in Trinidad and Tobago? That is how I will answer that question. And you used to answer me. Because you ask me a question, I am reacting a question. What is more important in your view? Yeah, comrade. Comrade, the sister may not tell you, the comrade will tell you, when Comrade Chuk was arrested, we was there 24/7. When he was detained, when he went in hospital, we were there 24/7. He's in the Port of Spain General Hospital, and we are prepared to be there 24/7 to lend our support, to send out our cosmetic energy, all right, to him to keep him strong and focused, because we will keep him strong and focused. And while they wouldn't allow all of us to go into the hospital to see him, but the fact that he knows all of us are there, lending solidarity and support, I am sure that will give him the impetus, the energy to move forward. And I look forward to seeing each and every one of you all there.